Hey, what's up guys? It's Clint Kuhns here, and in this video, I'm going to show you equity stripping and how you can make your property appear worthless to potential creditors. All right, let's start talking about it. All right, just the title alone, I wonder how many hits I'm going to get because somebody's going to see the word stripping and they're going to go, oh, I got to check that out. So this is not clickbait. Really what this strategy is about is how to make your property appear less attractive. Because the whole thing about lawsuits or being involved in litigation and using asset protection is you want the opposing side, the person that's coming after you, to think, hey, I'm just going to take his policy limits. There's nothing to go after here. So if the insurance company pays me, I'm walking away. And they're not going after your hard-earned assets. Now, one way to do that, besides just putting your property into limited liability companies, is to pull the equity out. Now, that can be done. I mean, here at Anderson, we have a funding department where we help our clients get equity out of their investment rental real estate. And if you want to learn more about that, join me on my tax and asset protection event. You'll see a link there in the show notes, and I'll talk about that. But if you're not going to go and borrow from a third party and put a lien on your property that way, why don't you do it yourself? Now, how you go about this strategy is really important because you don't want it to appear as if you're liening your own property. What do I mean by that? Let's assume that you have a limited liability company right here. You set up this LLC and it owns a rental property. Now, maybe you've got a mortgage on it. You have a first mortgage with Chase Bank, encumbering the property for $85,000. So that shows up as a first deed of trust against your property. Okay, great. So that's telling the parties or anybody that's looking at title to this property that you owe Chase Bank $85,000. Well, the problem we have is that this property is now worth $285,000. So that means there is equity here of $200K. So if I was a creditor and I was thinking about suing your limited liability company and going after this asset, I would see that and say, oh wow, why take policy limits? Because I can get $200,000 if I just push a little harder because I know he has that to lose. Well, we don't want them to think, that is the plaintiff's attorneys, that you got a bunch of equity just floating around there waiting for someone to trip and fall as they're walking along your property and turn around and sue you. So the way we make that quietly disappear is we do this. We set up a Wyoming limited liability company. Now, why do I want to set this up in Wyoming? Because I don't want them to see your name associated with it. We really need anonymity to make this strategy work. So we set up a Wyoming LLC of which you're the member and you're the manager. All right, got that? So you got this LLC set up. Now, this is my Wyoming LLC. This is my investment LLC. And so now you're going to agree that this Wyoming LLC is going to loan this limited liability company here $200,000 on a line of credit. All right, you're going to loan it $200K. What are the terms? Commercially reasonable. We'll say this: if this LLC borrows any money from that LLC, it's going to generate 6% interest on the money. All right, so that's our line of credit terms. So you're probably listening to this and you're going, I check out right there. I don't have $200,000 lying around to do this. Who said anything about you needing $200,000 to do this? That's the biggest mistake investors make when they hear about this strategy, is they think they actually have to have $200,000 over there or $500,000 or $1 million over there. You don't have to have it. This entity can have $100 in it. It doesn't matter. Because in order to make this strategy work, you need two things. Okay, you need a line of credit agreement / promissory note, and then you're going to need a deed of trust. Okay, so let me just show you this to make this strategy work for you. So first off, you enter into that line of credit agreement between this LLC and that LLC. So you're negotiating with yourself, right? So you agree to loan yourself money. So you don't got to be worried about Chase or some other person coming against you and trying to take your equity, because it's just you. And as long as you get along with yourself, I think you're going to be okay. So you decide on your terms. Then once you've entered into those terms and you've signed this line of credit agreement, then this limited liability company, okay, is going to file a deed of trust against this LLC over here. So a deed of trust is going to be recorded against this property for $200K. And in this case, it would be a second deed of trust. I'll just put DOT up there. Now, if I was representing someone and I was suing this limited liability company and I performed a title search, what is that title search now going to show me? That this property has a first with Chase Bank for $85K. It has a second with Funky Town. I wouldn't use Funky Town LLC because I don't know how many Funky Towns are going to loan money, but you get the point. For $200,000. So total debt on the property is $285,000, right? $285,000 in debt. How much is the property worth? $285,000 because that's what it's appraised at. So it appraises at $285,000. There's $285,000 in debt. If I'm a creditor and I'm going to go against this property and want to pull money out, sell it at auction, is there any spread there for me as a creditor? Zero spread. Because it tells me that $285,000 is owed to two separate lenders. And I don't know that one of those lenders is you because I'm using a Wyoming LLC that your name doesn't appear on. So this is why we call it stripping, because you're pulling that equity out of your property, but it's only on paper. Because the reality of the situation, because somebody sent me an email not too long ago, they said, Clint, why set up LLCs? All I'll do is just equity strip. And my response was, equity stripping is a smokescreen. It's really effective. But if somebody sues you and they're an aggressive creditor and they want to push it, you're only protected to the amount of money you actually loan to this company. And in our example, we only have $100. So don't think of it as, hey, this is my end-all be-all strategy. You still need LLCs. What I call this is more like attorney be gone. Some of you may have seen this stuff before. I remember when I was younger, they would have it for cats that would jump up on furniture. You could sprinkle a powder, right, over your furniture. Like, who the hell wants to sit in powder? You sit on the couch and poof, all this powder goes up in the air and you're covered in powder. But hey, at least your cat's not jumping on the furniture or you anymore. Well, what you're doing is you're sprinkling that same type of powder, but rather than cat be gone, we call attorney be gone over your real estate to keep them, if they come sniffing around, from liking what they smell. Hey guys, if you like the strategy, be sure to leave a few comments down below in the section. Also, if you're thinking about want to learn more about asset protection and tax planning for real estate investors, join me on my live tax and asset protection event that I run every few weeks. I've got a link for it in the show notes. You can sign up. It's completely free. Come to there, bring your questions. I got a team of attorneys waiting for you to get your questions answered about how you should structure your investment real estate.